A police officer who works for Washington, D.C.'s transit system has been charged with aiding the ISIL terror group. The FBI arrested 36-year-old Nicholas Young Wednesday. He is the first law enforcement officer in the U.S. accused of providing material support to terrorists. CCTV's Nathan King joins me now with all the details. Nathan.
Yeah, thanks, Lane. It is worth stressing from the outset that there is no immediate threat to the U.S. capital's transit system, according to authorities. But authorities say after 6 years of surveillance, they have evidence that Officer Young tried to send money in the form of gift cards to the terror group. U.S. authorities first interviewed Young in 2010 when a U.S. federal court convicted one of his friends of trying to join an al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group in Somalia. In interviews and undercover operations, officers learned that Young traveled to Libya in 2011 during the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi. He carried body armor. He also had a large collection of weapons in his home. He even turned up to a police training session with his own AK-47 assault rifle. Young also talked repeatedly of his desire to attack law enforcement. And ironically, Young told undercover FBI officers that he was worried about FBI surveillance and advised them on how to avoid detection and how to travel to Syria via Turkey without alerting authorities. Now, the charges stem from his purchase of $245 worth of gift cards for mobile messaging accounts. The charges say Young supplied the cards to help Islamic State fighters communicate. He thought he gave the account codes to an acquaintance working with ISIL. That acquaintance, in fact, was an undercover officer. If convicted, Young faces up to 20 years in prison.
Well, you know, this is a worrying charge, but some have criticized that this could be entrapment.
Especially when it's just $245 of gift cards. Yeah, exactly, yeah. There have been similar cases in New York where the FBI had posed as terrorist sympathizers and helped convince the subject to plot an act of terror or aid a terror group, when in fact the whole operation is a sting with no risk to anyone. And that seems to be the case here. But the FBI knows that some young people are susceptible to ISIL recruiting messages online and on the internet. Federal agents sometimes use these methods to root out would-be sympathizers. The White House Wednesday defended those methods.
We know that part of the strategy that is used by extremist groups around the world, including ISIL, is to use social media to try to recruit followers in countries around the world. We know that that certainly is true here in the United States as well. And the FBI and the Department of Justice take quite seriously the responsibility that they have to use the relevant resources at their disposal to pursue these investigations and do everything possible to protect the American people.
And the fact that Young was a police officer in the Washington, D.C. transit system and is susceptible to ISIL infiltration is another worrying factor in this case. He was actually fired from his job after formally being arrested on Wednesday.
All right, Nathan King with that. Thank you.
Thank you.